How's it going, fellow card game enjoyers? As you can see on your screen here today, we are rocking out with a Core Set Warlock deck. So this is a deck you can build with absolutely zero dust. You just got to level up, the classes a certain amount of times to get the whole core set. I'm not exactly sure what level you have to reach, but yeah, as you can see, we got a really decent mana curve here. It's a very smooth mana curve, going from 1 mana to 5 mana. And that's to make sure you have the optimal spread of cards to play each and every turn. So as far as 1-drops go, the bottom 3 are the ones you're going to be playing the most on turn 1. So we got Flame Imp. Flame Imp's just a really strong character for the mana cost. You pay 1, you get a 3/2. But you do lose 3 health, but that tends not to matter in most matchups. Against aggro, it kind of matters, but usually you can take out one of aggro's, one of their threats, like one of their bigger creatures with this 3/2 to make it much more worth it than you would think. And then we have Voidwalker, finally back in the core set. It's a 1 mana 1/3 taunt, just there to help protect your other minions. Plus its high health total means it can trade up into some other enemy minions with the abusive sergeant and other attack buffs. Worgen Infiltrator is there, has stealth, so it's really hard to remove unless they use area of effect damage. So like if they have a card that says deal 2 to everything, then this Worgen will unfortunately not like that very much. But other than that, it is a nice card to kind of get you set up on board without having to worry about enemy spell effects or enemy attacks until you attack with it, of course. So let's talk about these other 2 1-drops. We got Abusive Sergeant. Now this is just an attack buff, basically on a stick. So you play it out there. If you already have something on the board, that something on the board will get additional attack, and then it can go ahead and trade into a higher health enemy minion that way, So really you're using this for your lower cost or your other minions to make good trades against the enemy minions. You can also use it to push face damage, but that's often not advised because other classes are going to have more direct damage potential. So you really don't want to really race, but more so you want to take control of the board and let your cards like Cobalt Scalebane, Dark Iron Dwarf, cards like that are going to buff your team's attack value. You're going to let them win the game for you that way. So yeah. And then let's see. We got an annoyatron. This is just a good minion because it's got Divine Shield and Taunt, so it can take a free hit with Divine Shield, and then on top of that, with Taunt, it will be annoying and get in the way of your opponent's attacks. Annoyatron indeed. And then we got Direwolf Alpha for a nice positionally, relevant attack buff. So you just toss this in between a bunch of your guys. And then as you're trading them off, they'll have a nice little buff to let you get a little more value out of your creatures. Fairy Dragon, we just have this for the same reason why we had it in the Warrior deck. It's just a nice, cheap minion with quite a bit of evasion. It's hard to take it out when it can't be targeted by spells or hero powers. You're basically forcing the opponent to play your game because they gotta play the minion trade game if they want to get rid of this beautiful butterfly dragon thing. And then we got Nubian Egg. It's a nice 2 mana, 2 health creature. But when it dies, of course, it summons a big 4/4 Nubian. So basically you're paying 2 mana for 2 different bodies. You get the egg and you get the creature. And I mean, since you're getting 2 bodies for the price of 1, it's really nice in this kind of deck where you're trying to buff the attack value of your creatures and get more value out of them. Because then you're getting more value out of those two creatures than you usually would. So yeah, it's also nice to toss down on a like kind of an already threatening board, because then your opponent will be afraid to deal with it. Because in order to wipe out your other threatening creatures, they're also gonna have to pop the egg and give you a 4-attack, 4-health creature, which they obviously do not want to do. So yeah, that becomes fairly relevant fairly quickly. Then we got the let's see, Imp Gang boss. Same kind of deal where they don't want to give you creatures for free. So they're usually going to avoid fighting your Imp Gang boss, if they can avoid it, letting you attack into enemies with it. So yeah, very nice card there. We got the Tar Creeper. It's a nice, relatively big taunt creature. On the enemy turn, it is a 3-attack, 5-health creature, which is quite durable, and having 3-attack, it's not going to be like a free kill for the enemy by any stretch. They're definitely going to have to work to get past this little pile of tar here. And then we move on to Vulpera Scoundrel. Now this card's just kind of nice because you get 3 different options. If you don't like any of the options, that's perfectly fine. You can also pick a mystery option as the 4th option. Warlock spells aren't the best. They range from pretty good to pretty bad. But since you had the choice of 3 different spells, and you also can just pick the mystery option if none of them are really good, I still think this is worth a slot because you're getting a free spell with a 3-mana 2/3, which is still like a pretty okay stat line already. I'm looking at you, Harvest Golem. There used to be this card called Harvest Golem that had the same kind of stat line, and it was metagame for a while, back in classic days, of course. But anyway, moving on, we got Dark Iron Dwarf, 4 mana, 4/4. It's going to buff one of your other minions by +2 attack. Just kind of letting the other minions get in there for a little bit extra damage is going to be huge. Plus, it's got a relatively decent-sized body as well for your opponent to worry about. And then, second to last, we got Lifedrinker. Dealing 3 damage to the enemy hero and restoring 3 to your hero just by playing it. Lets you try to finish your opponent off through taunt. It also helps keep you alive against aggro decks. It's just kind of a nice all-around creature in general. And there's not really a bad time to drop it either, unless you're not missing any health. Although, since you're playing as Warlock, you're going to be missing health most of the time between your Flame Imp dealing 3 damage to you, or your Hero Power dealing 2 damage to you. Chances are you're going to be wounded in some capacity, and you're going to be able to get that back with Lifedrinker. And then the last card on our list, definitely not the weakest. This is probably the strongest card in your deck, the Cobalt Scalebane. Each and every turn, including the turn he's played, he's going to give another random friendly minion +3 attack. Now that is just huge. If you can somehow keep him alive, or if your opponent just straight up ran out of resources to deal with your creatures, Cobalt Scalebane is just a ridiculously strong card. At least it was back in its day in Standard. I hope it still holds up. But yeah, I think for this deck, it's definitely, it checks all the boxes. It's gonna give your opponent a pretty difficult time dealing with all these, buffed up creatures that we have. And yeah, we're just gonna be able to, make our like for example, if we just have an egg on the board. Where's the egg? Right here. If we just have an egg on the board when we play him, it's going to turn into a 3/2 attack creature. So it's going to have 3 attack, 2 health, and it's going to be able to trade into a creature the following turn, and that is just insane. Like that, I don't know, that's just so good in my eyes. So hopefully it ends up holding up. But yeah, you call this a zoo deck because there is literally no spells. And I mean, of course, it's also got like an amalgamation of different creature types, of course. But no spells to speak of, except for the one you're going to discover with Vulpera Scoundrel. Hopefully a good one. But yeah, Thank you so much for watching, guys. Please let me know what you think of this deck down below. And I really cannot wait to make more guides for you. Thank you.